He stepped away for a second. Yeah, I just took it out of the background. He stepped away for a second. Okay.
I'm so sorry for I
okay.
had to take a call. Okay. Anyways, we were talking about. Thank you for updating with Disney, and that seems to be very promising. I think I would encourage everybody to definitely check out Disney, and because with even COVID, we want to make sure that they're still giving fair chance. Okay, well, any final thoughts you have for our audience, Mark?
Just like you said, I would really recommend that people do the research for themselves. And, if it's something that your family doesn't feel compromised, it's a great time to go. And it's, it was what our family needed in terms of like our mental health to really feel normal again. And of course it's changed, but
yeah, no, that's very good. Thank you, Mark. And anything else? I think you're doing fantastic job encouraging people to at least check it out and be safe. Still, we say be safe.
Yeah, and if people are looking for any more information, again, our podcast is called Disney Life Podcast. And we're over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. And then, of course, our host site right now is buzzsprout.com. So if you have some questions or if you're looking for information, our podcast is a great place to get started.
Okay. Thank you. You take care, Mark. Thank you for coming. Take care. Bye. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Mobi. I'm Dr. Mobi, and today we are honored with Joshua Dusk. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, Dr. Mobi. Good to see you again.
Same.
Good cold here. We had all those fires here in Colorado, like really bad, and it snowed. It seemed like 10 inches to a foot the other night, and it's freezing cold. So hopefully that helped. But it's a little chilly right now.
Okay. So, I also read in your profile that you are from UP. Wow. UP, Michigan. Oh, yeah, I was in UP too, in UP Escanaba area. I lived there 7 years.
Oh, wow. I was just a little tiny sprout. I don't even remember it. I'd like to go back and see it again, be in the place you're born. I don't remember a thing about it, unfortunately.
Okay, well, you should go. It's really nice. I was there. It's very pretty, and I think being an artist, you will love it. Because you are into making sure all these drawings. So we're gonna talk today about your artistic work, and I see a lot of paintings at the back, and also right now you are working on one, right?
Oh yeah, I just got a new idea I was throwing down. Like a little pile of hearts and faith to get to the home and making that leap of faith with that person you're with. So that idea started going. I drew it down and seeing what happens. It may or may not turn out, but.
Okay, so let's talk about some of your artwork.
Oh, okay, nice. I'd love to.
Yeah, sure.
Let's see my artwork. My favorite is I do floral design. I've done that for like 21 years. I do music, not as much lately, but my favorite is cross-hatching. I absolutely love doing the cross-hatching. It's a peaceful spot that you just get lost in for hours. Everything else just kind of fades away, and it's you kind of get hooked on that. So yeah, that's the last probably especially 9-10 years I've been really focusing. The last 3-4 years especially really focusing on my cross-hatching and selling prints and stuff. And doing my original and the book. We talked about the book last time.
Yeah. So tell me.
I really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, no, we really enjoyed having you. So we're gonna talk a little bit one by one about some of your work. So you can share with us which one are you drawing right now? This is the Leap of Faith.
Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. Leap of faith. I think that's what I want that little sign to say. Your brain still kind of goes when you're doing it. But a lot of my work is kind of influenced by events, whether it's my characters or my situations. Just an idea will sprout and do it. And this one kind of sprouts from experience or from life nowadays, taking that leap of faith and being scared but still going for it. And so that sprouted, and yeah. Sometimes it fails, like I said, but we'll see what happens. I like the way it's coming out. I like the way the shading's coming out.
Okay, so you like the way it is showing on there. Okay, so let's talk some of the one on the behind your wall.
Oh, okay. That's first I got undoing the devices. You got the heart, and it's plugged into all this machinery or whatever vice you have. Something that's kind of taking the energy away from the heart. And there's my angel character. He's unplugging the heart from all those devices. I like drawing the machinery and the steampunky stuff, and I just started doing that. That was about 6 years ago. But yeah, just going through those things, and I'm getting your heart out of all that crap, and you got your higher self looking out for you while you're doing that. So I don't know if you see that one, yeah. And then
Yeah.
my crow, it's more of an ink wash. I don't do that as much, but I really like ravens and crows. They symbolize for me change or magic in the air or change coming. I had a couple of doing into posters, but I love the way he turned out. He's kind of one of my best sellers when I sell my prints. So people like him, and I'm really proud of that because they don't always turn out, and he turned out. I'm like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's the only 2 posters I have of those. The rest of them are prints about this big or originals. I sell some originals and have the gallery, Walnut Gallery in Longmont. I have originals framed there, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Selling that is awesome when someone buys an original 50, 40-hour piece that you did. It's a pretty good feeling. Love that.
So love that. So I saw a couple of them. You send me those, and we're gonna go also one by one. They're very neat, actually. First one we actually have here. So do you get to sell them over internet, or how do you sell them?
I used to, or I do. We have Art Night Out here in Lafayette, Colorado. It's such a good, eclectic town. There's so many good artists and people. I just love the people here. But I was doing my art booth, the last 3 years, except for this past year. Couldn't do it because of this whole worldwide pandemic we got going on, which is all right because we got to do it. We have to be safe. We got to do it. But I wasn't able to do it this past year, but I get a good response once a month during the summertime. A lot of people in the area have my pictures in their living rooms, and it just got so taken to heart when that happens. I mean, that they would choose to take my expression and hang it in their living room as like a centerpiece of their main room in the house. It just, I don't know, it blows me away every time it happens. I love it. But yeah, on the internet, Facebook, Instagram, people will contact me. I'll say, hey, when I get a new one, this is for sale. This is for sale. The Art Night Out, though, is really kind of the strong one for now, but hope to grow. You know, people hopefully spread the word. I get better as I do it. You get better. The more you do, the better you get. And it's weird how that happens, but yeah, just hope to grow. But mostly in live, in person.
Okay. Now tell me, how do you get inspired, or how do you get an idea of making a drawing, or like what is usually process?
Okay. Like this one, it sprouted just, my brain's kind of clicking sometimes with ideas and stuff, and I'll try to jot down, because you get those ideas and then you lose them. So I try to write stuff down, take notes. This one, I had the idea, but I wasn't sure how to really implement it. The stairs and the big long journey on the pile of hearts, that one just came from a doodle. I'm like, oh, that's totally weird. And the home and the jumping. This one sprouted from an idea that grew. Other ones, I have my characters like Walt that's in the book. Yeah, there's Walt right there. That's one of the first Walt's I did. It was probably like 7, 8 years ago. I did a series of him in like a carnival setting, and I just liked the little things that he got into, and his personality started growing when I was doing this one. But this one, yeah, a part of my life I wasn't quite strong enough, or I was wondering if I was strong enough. And if you are, you get that prize, you get that. So that's my kid self, Walt, kind of going through that mental process, you know, trying to be strong enough, but still being a kid. Like, am I? Holy crap, look at that. There's no muscle. Can I even do it? So yeah, that was my personal experience right there. I'm going to get that prize.
Okay, so then we have a couple more. Would like to ask you about this one. That is neat.
Oh, nice. Yeah, same deal. He's in that little setting, that carnival setting, and he could find out for 10 cents or whatever it is. It's 10 cents, yeah. He could find out his future, what he has to do, what's going to happen, but he just doesn't even have a dime. So he is open, and but he can't see the future ahead of time. And I thought that one was, we never really know what's going to happen. We're kind of broke sometimes.
Hmm.
But just situations came to a point where he could find out, but he can't. But you can see, in these older ones, I'm learning my cross hatching style. It's grown over time. If you compare now to then, this one's a lot sloppier. You can tell some of the stuff around the edges. I like that effect, but I can see that I've grown when I look at some of my newer ones, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we're gonna go with some of the new ones you have. So this one is gonna be coming soon, actually, Halloween. Yeah, this one is gonna be it's loading up. Sorry. Yeah, so this is gonna be.
Yeah, this is a good story behind this one, actually. A friend of mine back in Midland, Michigan, Helen, her and her husband got married on Halloween. And it's amazing how you know people through Facebook without actually, I know the group of people, I know her. I think I may have met her in the past, but I don't remember. But we know each other really well, which is awesome. But she wanted to get her husband something special for a Halloween wedding, so she asked me to draw a commission. So this guy, he's about this size, that one on the screen. And yeah, I did a commission so she could give it to him on their wedding. Like that was her wedding gift to him. And holy cow, taking a heart on that. You know, there's like the skeleton guy, and he's offering his heart. You know, she's kind of an angel. She helps him. But the Halloween scene, you know, a little cemetery and a little path going up to the scary. There's even a little cat there somewhere on the ledge. I like the little cat. Yeah, but so she actually lost him about a year or two ago. I don't remember, to cancer. So this even has more of a special place, I think, to her and to me. This moment in time, I was really honored to do that. But yeah, you can see my style, how smoother it is around by the gravestones and the path going up. Really starting to hone in on my getting the right.
Yeah, no, that is very cool. And then and I think we have this one. Oh, look at that.
Oh, nice. I don't do color as much. I paint sometimes bigger guys. This is a watercolor and ink, but this whole pandemic triggered this. I was actually playing a game on the PC, and it was a 2D platformer, but it was very artsy. There was a lot of cool imagery in it, and there was one that was broken down hand, and it's just part of the scenery. You're running around, but something about that, just like, wow, this like an old broken statue of a hand in touch. What does a hand represent? And we were being told constantly, which is good because we got to be safe and care for the people we love, but not to touch, not to hug. And I'm a huge hugger, anyone that knows me. But I just drew down the idea and just thinking about not being able to touch and just the broken down symbol, that hand of touch. And it triggered, from this pandemic. This is a pretty recently created one. But I thought I tapped into a good, because God, I miss hugging people. I'm not allowed to hug anymore, and that's essential for us as being alive and being human to have that contact. So that one hit me kind of hard, the whole situation. So that's where that one came from. I really like that. I don't do color a ton, but I like the vibrancy of the red up there. Yeah.
No, this is very cool, actually. And it can be, you can have this forgotten art of touch actually could stand for your loved one, near one. Even in COVID time, you are near your family, you are with your loved ones, but you can be in touch with them, whatever way. But so pretty much this painting has a lot of value, even recent times, where you can feel that, how it is,
Yeah, that means a lot to me.
Yeah, I was really touched by this one. Okay, so then we talked about that, and then we have a couple more here. Let's go over. Sorry. I'm trying to bring some of that.
Technology makes it easier, but still.
Yeah, technology would be easier if we. 1 second. It's gonna take little bit time to go. Okay, here we are. Okay, we got Halloween. We got this one now. Okay. Okay, here. Yeah.
And it's again one of the newer ones. You can see my style, how the fading from the corner, the shadow back into the light areas, a lot smoother. But this is Walt again. It's kind of neat how characters have developed over time. I like drawing angels and wings. Big believer in higher vibration and light and creative energy. Like I'm really, really big on that. But I like drawing wings, so I have my angel guy, which is I'll get to that. And then my skeleton guy, I like to draw. I love skeletons. He's kind of my mortal self. And Walt, he's a character you saw earlier that when I started creating him, he's kind of my kid self. He gets into weird situations that are kind of off, or he's innocent about everything. So some stuff just he doesn't quite get how it works. So he finds himself in weird situations. And the angel guy is kind of my higher self. I was drawing these characters and they started interacting with ideas. I'm like, it's kind of neat. And I analyzed it, and that's why Walt is in the situation, or the angel guy is always kind of helping the situation out. These are my selves, my higher self, my mortal self, and my kid self. So I'm like, it makes sense now when I go back and look at all these other pictures, like, oh, okay, that's what that is. And I can go into a drawing with this insight. Like, okay, what would Walt be doing in this situation? Like the Weird Long Dark, the book. How would he react? How would my kid self? And it's educational. It's educational is, I guess, a good word for me. Seeing this, it's healing. I can take a situation and analyze it through what I've done art-wise, and it's pretty cool. It's a growing process, and I learn a lot from it. But this one, Walt, like just the vision of yourself, how you see yourself. Like I drew the image because I thought it was cool, and then analyze it afterwards for like half of it, and it's okay. Still, how do you see yourself? And we get caught in that perspective of how we're seeing it as opposed to who we are. So he's trapped in the mirror, kind of a weird, just funny little situation, but it's seeing ourselves through other people's eyes too much, I guess, as a way to put that, as opposed to being who we are and have people see us. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what you're saying is that we are all trapped in our own kind of this imagery, but we don't see exactly ourselves. We have like our own definition of things, and we just stick to that. We don't analyze ourselves. Is that what you're saying? Right?
Yeah, totally. We're more who we are seen as than who we are being seen.
Yeah.
The matter of perspective. Yeah, I think you put it right.
Okay. Yeah, that makes absolute sense with with everything. And this is so cool.
Thanks, Dr. Mobi. This one too, a newer. You can tell by the style around it. There's Walt and the angel, the wings. I was practicing my wings and drawing my wings, and I just I love the way it turned out. More just a simple, straightforward. Angel has the heart there, and he's looking after Walt, making sure he's okay. Sometimes we need that protection. I think I was going for a protected, loved kind of feeling when I did this one. I just wanted something to give people, because I do sell my prints, and I have to think of that now sometimes. What do people want to tell other people? What can I do that other people can relate to, that they can offer to someone else, or kind of rambling. But yeah, this one just a straight up, strong wings up, stretch them out. And he's looking at the wall with the heart there. Yeah, I did pretty good wings on that. I like the curly ones at the top. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. No, that is turned out to be very nice, actually. So let's see if we can get to the next. We already saw that. So let's see if we can go back now. Okay, so this one is really cool too, actually. You have, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's very cool, right?
Nice, thank you. And I love talking to you. Thanks, Dr. Mobi. Thanks for having me on. This is actually started as the next book I'm working on. Late for the Day of the Dead. The skeleton guy, I kind of just call him Bob. He's late for his big day. The Day of the Dead, I'm a skeleton. I mean, this is my big day. And he ends up being late for a variety of reasons. It's kind of metaphor for life, and we're going for that spot, and we're big day. It's your day. You want to get there. You want to be that. You want to celebrate it. Sorry, a little lack of words for that. But this one is, he actually couldn't make it. He was late because he stopped off to have a drink with his friend at the bar. So he's late, and something about catching up with an old friend. But if you look at it with my characters, it's pretty cool. The higher self is sitting there talking to my mortal self. They're talking about what's going on. And Walt can't even reach his drink. He's down there in a little corner. Sees his little head peeking up. But yeah, just having a talk with your higher self, saying, hey, you know, what's going on? What do we need to do? You know, you can also look at it as your spirit guide, guardian angel looking after you, taking a second to breathe. But yeah, this one, he's late because he's talking with an old friend. That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
I like
sure.
that in the corner.
So, yeah, that is.
Go ahead.
So I said that is very cool. So is this your any person you knew about, or is this just?
No, kind of. Yeah, maybe it might have triggered from. I grew up in Midland, Michigan. Been there forever. I've been out in Colorado for 20, 21 years. You know a lot of people through the interwebs nowadays. I think it might have been just missing a friend of mine, or doing my life and going about my life and not being as in contact as I would like to be with one of my best pals, Mac. It probably was him that triggered it, because he's my best pal in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what about this? Oh, this is so cool.
Oh, this is great. Actually went to a wedding. This was a wedding gift also, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. For my fiance's relative. They had a beautiful, beautiful wedding in New York. And I wanted to do something special for them. And the whole angels holding the home imagery, the little city imagery, I do that a lot. The big sun imagery, I do that a lot. But I just wanted to do something special for them. It was so I drew the angels doing that. And this one's pretty cool too, because the whole home aspect, I didn't realize this. When they got it, they told me, wow, the whole home thing is something we've told each other. It's very important to us. So that's so weird that you put that in there. And I thought that was pretty cool, that you almost tap in to a magic to it when you just kind of let it be open when you're drawing and doodling. Sometimes I think that magic kind of sneaks in. So that was also a wedding gift. And again, it was pretty.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome Dr. Jamil to our show, Lifestyle with Dr. Mobi. I'm Dr. Mobi, and today we're going to talk about winter blues or winter problems. Let's welcome Dr. Jamil.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm Dr. Jamil Ahmed. I'm an internist and also a geriatrician. So winter is coming. It means that fall is already on the way, and the color in the leaf has changed. The mosaic of color is unforgettable, but at the same time we know what comes next. The temperature will start to dip down, and the colorful leaves will leave us soon, and the cold temperature brings some specific issues that we deal every year, and unavoidable, but we have to know what's expected and we have to deal with it. Like all animal, in winter, our temperature also dips slightly. It's a part of our evolution. And when the temperature drops a little bit, there's some correlation with our immune system. So people tend to get more diseases. Some diseases are more common in winter and expected. Give an example. In a cold weather, we all get sore throat. It can be viral, like we call strep throat. It can be the dry, cold air, and sometimes allergies, which is very common. If it's not infection, just gargling with a salt water, it will be enough. But if you have an infection like a strep throat, you will need an antibiotic, and probably you need to see a doctor to make sure that you have a strep throat, because we don't want to use antibiotic unnecessarily to treating every sore throat which is not infection. Bad thing that happens at that time is a pneumonia, which can start as a viral infection. Then it can turn into a bacterial pneumonia, which is serious with a high fever, cold, chills, and sometimes confusion in older people. So we see that it is not uncommon that will come with a shortness of breath, like you with a COVID infection, COVID-19, and the people will get a pneumonia from it after virus infection is gone, probably. So it is a problem that you have to deal. And if you have pneumonia, you better see a doctor, because you will need some good antibiotic to control it, and also give some breathing treatment to help you to breathe better, because your oxygen may drop. Usually cold will not make your oxygen drop, but infection sometimes can. And the common thing that we see is that ear infection, earache. It happens with a clogging of the eustachian tube. There's a tube between the ear and the mouth that keeps our middle ear open. Sometimes that can get clogged, and that can cause infection. And in older people, that's the risk factor. And also smoking. If you're a smoker, probably should not be smoking anyway, but it will put you to a higher risk for middle ear infection. And if you have a chronic infection like that, you will have some hearing loss that you don't want to lose, because you need hearing, because it is more important than vision. Next thing is asthma. It runs in the family, first of all, and you will know that you have an asthma. In the cold air, it will trigger your asthma. Sometimes you need to have a inhaler with the albuterol, which is useful at the time of asthma. And sometimes you need little different, like a steroid, whatever it takes, to control the asthma. You'll be surprised to know that in cold weather, you get heart attack. Do you have any question, Dr. Mobi?
Yeah. I think I was going to ask you about for allergies. So we want to educate them, about allergies. There could be indoor versus outdoor. That's true in allergies, in summer and fall, or especially in summer, actually, the pollen count could be high. But indoor allergens are not dependent on that. So there could be indoor dust and mites or anything. So those can still be prevalent, although luckily they go down as compared to, and like you said, it can cause runny nose, ear infection, and it can cause sinusitis and chronic infection.
That's right.
So those are important. Also tell us about some of with other winter problem with the mood disorders, which we see.
Okay. As I was trying to tell, is that if you have a coronary artery disease, cold air is not good, because cold air make you use more energy to function. Mm-hmm. And anytime you make your heart more, you put a strain on your heart. So you have to be careful that you bundle up yourself very well if you have a heart disease. Otherwise, it can cause a heart attack, and which is very easily avoidable. Sometimes we see that older people, they're not usually very physically active, all of a sudden they want to go out and clean the snow, which is good, but at the same time, it can strain your heart and cause some problem like heart attack. So it is better that you know your limitations. And the way you know that you have a heart attack is that you have a chest pain, obviously, you get short of breath. Sometimes chest pain will go to your left arm or to the neck or to the jaw, and you have shortness of breath. Some people have nausea and headache. So, or lightheadedness or dizziness. So if you may have arrhythmias, so you have to make sure that you know what you're dealing with when you go out in the cold weather. And family should be aware of that too. Joint pain is common in cold weather, and we all know who has issue with arthritis that it always gets worse in the winter. Another thing that we always talk about is dry skin. With a low humidity and cold weather, everything together, people will complain of dry skin a lot. The way they tell is that I itch all over. And the treatment is essentially moisturizing lotion and drink plenty of water. So make sure that you don't get dehydrated. And another major issue that we get, we call seasonal affective disorder. I will go back to that, and I will ask Dr. Mobi whether he has any questions.
I think those are important concepts which you have outlined, especially about a heart disease, because I used to be in Midwest and we used to see a big increase in MIs during winters, because people would try to first shovel the snow, not realizing their capabilities. So all their season, they never actually did any exertion or anything workout. And all of a sudden, they want to shovel the ice or snow, and that's a lot of workout. So they kind of underestimate their stamina, and they could, guess what, have a heart attack. The other problem we used to see was they would go for deer hunting or something, and then try to lift those, and all of a sudden, and not to mention pneumonia. So the cold air, very cold air, is also irritant to the airway, and it can overwhelm, especially if you're drinking alcohol and outdoors. You might feel warm in the skin, but your lungs not capable of handling that cold air. As a result, they will develop pneumonia. So those MIs, pneumonias, we used to see big number when we were on call, and that's always a problem, with winter. So unfortunately, people drink and then they try to beat the cold by going outside. I don't know the logic why they do that, but they tend to underestimate or overestimate their immune system, underestimate and overestimate their body to capability, and those are pretty scary thoughts. MI is a big one. So we used to see that. Also, if you can also tell us about seasonal affective disorder, because that was a big one, which also actually now we're seeing because of indoor, because a lot of people with COVID are remaining indoor.
Thank you. I'm going to take a cut.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't put my level.
Huh?
I didn't put my sound.
Sound was coming good.
It's good? All right. So I'm going to start from the...
Oh, you can now start. I mean, I could hear you.
Okay.
But you can put now.
Okay.
Okay, we are back. Dr. Jamil, let's catch up with the seasonal affective disorder.
Well, as I was trying to talk about the seasonal affective disorder, this time of the year, people start complaining that they feel depressed. They don't have energy. They have trouble sleeping. They feel hopeless and have trouble concentrating on things that they did easily before. In some extreme case, they even thought about killing themselves. So this suicidal thought. So it is not a simple thing. It's a difficult thing for a lot of people. We call it winter depression. And during this time, some people will oversleep. Some people will be loss of appetite, and some people will be eating more and start to gain weight. Similar thing can actually happen in spring and summer, and we call it summer onset affective disorder. Complaints are the same, but the number of people who have this summertime depression is much less compared to the winter time. So we always talk about winter more than summer issues. Complaints are the same. It's like we are getting too much weight, losing too much, gaining too much weight, can't sleep, anxiety, agitation, having difficulty with family. So to find out why it happens, we all have a biological clock in our system. It changes with the sunlight, triggers our body to do a lot of things that we even don't know. And there is a chemical called serotonin. The serotonin is in our brain that communicates with other systems in our body. We call them neurotransmitters. That time of the year, they found that our serotonin level tends to go down. So we use a lot of medication to bump up the serotonin. Another thing is called melatonin system that we think of sleep. That's also get changed and subdued. So it is kind of difficult thing for a lot of people because, all of a sudden, they don't know what's happening to their body. It is happening inside their body. If you think that who gets the SAD, strangely, that almost 10% people who has a SAD has a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. So it is a psychiatric illness, and people who has a seasonal affective disorder tend to have bipolar disorder, depression that they may not know. Who gets it? Like a female, they get more than men, usually young adult, and they have family history like anything else. And the depression and bipolar disorder, as I told you already. And further you live away from equator, there seems to be more issue with this seasonal affective disorder. Why we should look into this thing and why it's important? Because there tends to be a lot of alcoholic in this group. They also have ADHD, bulimia, anxiety, panic disorder, or personality disorder. So it is a mixed bag of psychiatric illness, and that stays with a seasonal affective disorder. Sometimes we do not treat them because we don't know them. So if somebody has a seasonal affective disorder, probably should, or we should, look into underlying reasons, whether they need to be treated more seriously. If you have multiple comorbidity, they tend to get more. And understandable, probably their health is not good, they're not feeling well, on the top of inside the body and the brain is going haywire. So if you get a seasonal affective disorder, how long we should be expecting to last? 40% of the times is a year. So in a year, or 40% of the time, it will last. So it's a long time, not 1 day or 2 days. And 70% of the times, it will return next year. So not everybody will get it next year, but it can come back, jump a year or two, and come back again. Only 15% of people will get better completely. So as I tried to illustrate before that, when you see a seasonal affective disorder, it's just not a single entity. It is a part of depression, bipolar disorder, and things like that. There's a two type of bipolar disorder. One is type 1 and the type 2. If you have a manic phase, you call type 1. And treatment is essentially the same, like you treat them with an antidepressant, your psychotherapy, and light therapy. It's very important that we maintain a sleep cycle. Make sure that you sleep on time, get up on time, you exercise 4 hours before the sleep, and you try to avoid caffeine, alcohol, or smoking. And don't go to bed hungry, because we don't want to get up early in the morning and because you're hungry, and some relation with hunger and hypoglycemia and not feeling well is there. And try to take measures to get some worry off your head. Sometimes you write it down so that you can think about it tomorrow, so you don't go to bed with thinking about things that you cannot solve that night. Exercise is very important. You exercise every day. Even if it's a cloudy day, you still do it, because you have to maintain a system or a organization in your life, day and night cycle. And also, what kind of exercise? Lifting is not that type of exercise will help you. It will be aerobic exercise, walking, that type of exercise. And make sure that there's a lot of lights in the house. Dark house is not good. And also, they call dawn stimulation. Dawn stimulation is like, suppose you wake up at 6 o'clock or 6:30. Half an hour before, you turn your light on slowly, so that body can sense, your eye can sense that there is some lighting going on. So that will also help this maintain a cycle in your body that tends to break down in this SAD or seasonal affective disorder. And the medication that we use, as I told you, that it is an antidepressant. Most commonly, they call SSRI, which is the most common medicine used nowadays, and like Prozac, Paxil. So those are probably commonly used. Sometimes, if you cannot take this type of medication, SSRI, you can take like called bupropion or Wellbutrin, which works probably as good. One good thing about Wellbutrin is that if you're trying to quit smoking, probably it will help you to quit smoking. You have any question, Dr. Mobi?
Yeah, I have a question about this seasonal affective disorder. You think that phototherapy would help?
Yes. Phototherapy is excellent. Actually, it's one of the things that has no side effect. How much light I will need? It'll be 10,000 lux, L-U-X. Lux is a Latin word, means light. So, if you are in a city if you're like a prescription, I have to give you a prescription. So you have to sit in front of a light box, approximately 16 to 30 inches away, and then stay there for 30 minutes a day. You really don't have to look at your light directly. You can sit down in a room and read your books, work in a computer. As long as there's a bright light in the room, it is good enough. If you compare with in a sunny day, how much light that will be, it will be almost 100,000 lux or 125,000 lux. It's a pretty bright light. You don't need that much of light to break the cycle. So, like a light here in the room is probably 250 lux. So you need pretty intense light to have the good phototherapy. Yes.
So also important is, some of the eye problems because of the dryness. You might get dry eyes a lot, and that's another thing is for these can actually make skin problem worse too. So skin and dry eyes, I see a lot of patients complain with winter. So those are the other things which anyone should be looking for. So let's, for the time's sake, let's wrap up for our audience and see if we can get a final words for audience.
Well, you have to be healthy in this winter. As we all practicing hand washing, it will help to stop the spread of the disease, all kind of disease, virus especially. And cover your mouth when you sneeze, drink a lot of water, and take a lot of rest, because rest gives your body some immune system. If you're overworked, not having sleep, it's not good for your health. And when you're going out, make sure you bundle up, because sudden change of temperature is not good. We're not used to being in a change of temperature that fast. And if you live in an area which has a low sunlight, please have some vitamin D, which is good for you different ways. It's good for your bone and also good for your mind. So if you're good for the infection, immune system, and we are talking about this a lot in our recent COVID virus pandemic. Phototherapy is a good option and it's a safe option. So it should be tried along with psychotherapy, medication, and everything. If you do all things together, your response is much, much better compared to doing one at a time. In that sense, at the end, I can tell you one thing. It's a Japanese thing to say. One kind word warms 3 winter months. It means that we always should be nice to each other, and that will make our life easier for everyday life. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming, and it was a great learning experience. And thank you for watching our show. Give us feedback, send us Twitter message or Facebook, whatever you like. And thank you for watching our show. Thank you, Dr. Jamil, for coming on, and take care.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Mobi. I'm Dr. Mobi, and today we have an excellent guest, Derek Venice from Big Life Financial. And let's welcome Derek. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. I'm excited to be here, Dr. Mobi.
Thank you, sir. Tell us about what kind of work you do.
Yeah, I work with people, primarily business owners, but could work with anybody to help people figure out financial strategies that align with the life that they want to live. We also help people to save a lot of money on taxes, specifically business owners. There's just a lot of stuff that's out there that people aren't being told that they could use to keep a lot more of the money that they make, and then how to grow that money. So we really help people keep more of what they make and be smarter with it.
Great. Now tell me about why is that, the higher income bracket, they want to, of course, save money in taxes. And is it also for all income group, or is it more for higher income group?
Yeah. So there are certain strategies that anybody can benefit from, right? Things from how to use your house, how to pay your kids, how you pay yourself, how you structure your corporations and so forth that really matter. And then when people get higher up, once they're earning $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, there are some specific strategies that apply to that group. And then like $1 million plus, there's a whole nother set of strategies. So depending on where you're at in your career and your growth and your business, there are a couple of different strategies, but definitely things that can help even somebody who's only paying $5,000 a year in taxes, help them save. So yeah.
It is for you have solutions for every kind of level.
Yeah, because as you make more money, more opportunities come along that start to apply or make sense. There are some strategies that anybody could do, but they don't make sense until you make a certain amount of money, just because they cost a certain amount to put in. So yeah, it really does change, but there are different solutions for every tier of life.
Okay, so tell me about certain what is about our tax code, which is always there will be loopholes, right? So tell us about that.
Yeah, instead of thinking of them as loopholes, Dr. Mobi, what I believe is this: the tax code is written because the government wants us to do certain things with our money, right? They want to create a better economy, a more stable environment. So when you buy a house and you get to write off the interest of your house, or when you have kids, the government gives you tax write-offs just personally, right? Not even on a business side, for doing those things, because people who have kids have a tendency to settle down and take care of their neighborhood, and people who buy houses have pride of ownership. So all those things help our society. Same thing with business owners. The government wants the business to do certain things. They want us to provide benefits for employees. They want us to grow the business and create jobs. So they incentivize all these things. And one of the big things that a lot of people are unaware of, business owners, is the government has, in the last 5 years, they've passed some new rules that have allowed research and development credits to apply to a lot of businesses that people didn't realize, right? You're a doctor, so anybody in a medical field, manufacturing field, software development, construction, or if you do anything custom, people can get tax credits back for research and development that can be quite significant. I mean, I had a doctor in Southern California who's getting over $180,000 back over the last 3 years. Quite a few dentists we do get $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 back. Chiropractors, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 back. But it's all based on research and development, which is completely different than like writing stuff off. This is taxes you've paid in that you now get back because you're doing work that qualifies as research. So I don't think these things are necessarily loopholes. They're just encouraging us to do things that they hope will move our country forward, stimulate the economy, create new innovation, create new jobs, that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? You're on mute right now. I still can't hear you. Your microphone's on mute.
I said that makes sense because, they have created, of course, 401k and all those, because that puts money on the stock exchange. And, of course, it gives us some tax benefit, but also has problem in terms of getting, the money right away. But, it comes to you actually is invested. And but do you think it would be easier if if it was very simple tax code and everybody pays, and then just just move on versus have kind of this loophole, that loophole?
Yeah, I can argue both sides of that. I think it's a really interesting question because I think if we just had a flat tax, right, or everybody paid a certain amount of tax, then we don't have to deal with tax loopholes and trying to figure all this stuff out and all this time and energy that's wasted on just doing your taxes and trying to pay as little as possible. But the flip side of that is, like I said, it does incentivize companies. It causes companies to want to hire more people. It causes companies to want to innovate and do research. It enables companies to take risk because they know they can write off some of those losses or get money back. So I get why the government does it. It would be much simpler for the average person, though. But I think for the businesses that are on the cutting edge, businesses, especially medical and scientific businesses, tech businesses, I think there's a lot of advantages that help them to really reach for the stars. And so I think it's a good thing in that way. I do think we could use some simplification because the tax code is like 5,000 pages. There's no way for somebody to know everything. And what it turns into, if you ask my opinion, is people who don't make as much money and don't have the time to hire the professionals or do the research, they just pay more than their fair share of taxes. Whereas the uber wealthy, I don't know this personally, but I'm sure Jeff Bezos has got a whole team of people who are trying to find every single tax break possible. And their full-time job is to just keep Amazon from paying taxes, right? So Amazon pays a lot less than the average person. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think there's some pros and cons on both sides.
That's true. Also, I don't know if you follow stock recently, and there were few stocks came IPO is formed, and some of these big companies they tweet and they make they get to buy those stocks at very cheaper price, and then everybody jumps in and then raises the price of that stock.
Sure.
Then we find out that was not worth of that much money.
Yeah.
But they made billions of dollars in 1 week. We didn't, you didn't, I didn't. But why is that? Why they get away with that, and why we are always, left without much?
Yeah, in my opinion, the stock market is a rigged game. It is not rigged for the people who, like you and I, who are regular people. It's rigged for people who run the system. It's rigged for people who work within the system. Like financial advisors or traders, like they don't make money based on whether you make money or I make money. They just make money on whether you have your money invested with them, right? Many times they're making trades and doing things that might even run your fees up, but not help your returns. If you lose money, they still get paid their fee. So I feel like the whole system is broken. The other thing that I think is really broken about the system, like you were saying, Dr. Mobi, is just that a lot of people wonder what's going to happen with the market. And the market is not based anymore on value. It's really based on speculation. If the president can make a tweet and the market surges because of that tweet, and then the next day he tweets something else and it goes down, did the value of those companies really change? Or are people just trying to second guess what's happening with the market? And so it's kind of turned into a big casino, in my opinion. You're trying to guess and outguess the other guys playing the game. So for most of my clients, we encourage them not to go that direction. My 3 rules about investing are: you should invest in things you know about, things you care about, and things you control. And for most people, the stock market is not any of those. They don't know anything about it. They've been told their money's supposed to go there, but they really don't know more than what they see on CNBC, which is like this much of what's actually going on. They don't care about it except that they have money in there, but like if it disappeared, their life wouldn't be any different. And they have no control. If the market crashes, what are they going to do? They either stay in for the long haul or they sell while it's low, but they don't have the ability to make it perform better. And I think it's just disempowering for most people. So for my clients, we generally don't have them do those types of investments. We have them do things closer to their knowledge base or things that have guaranteed rates of return.
And that is true. There's the other thing is, I see all the time is with medical field. So before even the medication or medical things out there, you can see the stock moving direction. Yeah, and you will see in next 3 months, 6 months, all kind of research and data fed into the media stream about positive or whether it's whatever they want to raise the stock. One example was one of the stock for COVID vaccine recently. Somebody tweeted or put that out that they were approved, and later on it was found to be wrong, but everybody bought it, and then in the end it was, everybody can lose money on it, but who's gonna be responsible? And damage is done, damage is done, unfortunately.
I really encourage people not to play that game unless you're an expert in a particular field. And this doesn't just apply to the stock market. You could say this about real estate. If you don't know anything about real estate, you have no business going and buying a sixplex, right? Mm-hmm. But most people don't know anything about the stock market, or in that case, they don't know anything about that company except for somebody tweeted it might be the next big thing. I think what we've come to is everybody's trying to like buy the next Amazon or the next Apple or the next Pfizer or whatever before it explodes. But that's kind of like trying to win the lottery, right? There's so many companies out there, and there's a bunch of people competing for that information. If you're not someone who's on the cutting edge, I just think you're playing a losing game. You're playing against people who know so much more than you, because the guys who run these big hedge funds and investment funds, like they've got billions of dollars of software, and the smartest guys from Harvard and Yale analyzing information and running metrics. And to think you're going to beat those guys day in and day out, to me, it seems crazy. I'm a much bigger advocate of focus on what you're really good at. Focus on what you know about. Focus on where you have expertise and training. Make your money there. And then when you put your money aside, put it in places where it's going to always go up. That way you don't have to deal with all the distractions of the up and down. I just think it's such a simpler, more effective formula. And when you look at the wealthiest people in the world, they don't take a lot of risk, right? They do sure things. They do things that always go up. Maybe they take 10% of their wealth and they swing for the fences, but 90% of their money is in things that always go up. Long-term real estate, different kinds of strategies where they're guaranteed rates of return, strategies that have tax advantages so that even if they lose money, they got to write off all the taxes, so they made money anyway. Things like that really, over time, always going up, wins the game.
So for average Joe, what do you then recommend? Is real estate, whether it's residential, commercial, or both, or what kind of basics we can all learn?
Yeah. So the first thing, and this is going to sound crazy, the first thing I think is people don't have an emergency fund, like a savings account. They should do that first, right? Too many people don't have savings. They try and invest, and then like the car breaks down or somebody gets sick, they have to go cash in the investment early because they didn't have any savings. So I think the first place you should build up money is in your savings account, at least 3 months worth of living expenses. So that's super basic. Once people get past that, this is going to sound crazy too, but like paying off bad debts. And what I mean by bad debt is if you have credit card debt or expensive debt, anything over 7%, you should probably just pay it off. If you've got a 17% credit card, paying off that credit card is a guaranteed 17% rate of return with zero risk. And your credit will probably go up too, right? So that sounds silly, but if you're trying to invest in the stock market to make 7%, but you're guaranteed to pay 17% on the credit card, why not just pay off the credit card first? And then once you actually start putting your money to use, we teach something called the money maximization model, and it's a way to use a specific type of life insurance policy where you get a guaranteed rate of return plus a dividend, and all the growth is tax advantaged. In fact, if you do it right, you may never pay taxes on any of the growth, and that money's liquid. So it's kind of like a savings vehicle that guarantees that it'll go up until you're ready to use your money for something better. And so you build up the money there, and then you use that to invest in. If you like real estate, you could do that. If you like other businesses in your industry, you can do that. Maybe you work with supply chains or add to your existing business. You can do that. If you like private equity, which is buying like ownership in private companies, you can do that. But really, wherever your expertise is, take that money once you get a chunk together, and then you can start putting it to work with those kinds of things. We find that's just a much better strategy because the life insurance always goes up. It's totally protected. And then when the right investments come along, you can make the move, but you're earning enough inside of the life insurance. I mean, it's very comparable to what people get in fact, I think it's a little better than what people get in the stock market over time, but it's totally safe. And then when they find something better than that, they can put their money in that other place.
Great. Also like to know, I think you mentioned a little bit about professionals too, that you help them to save some of their taxes. So tell us some of the highlights or tips where anybody can kind of benefit.
Yeah. So I think the biggest one for a lot of business owners is if you have any employees, you shouldn't be taking all of your money as salary. As a business owner, especially if you have an S corporation, you have the ability, and I should disclaim this and say, I have CPAs that work with me and for me. I am not a CPA, so always double check on your specific situation to make sure this is right. But you should be asking them, if you're taking all your money as salary, you can actually take some of that money as dividends or distributions. And what that does is you can take that extra money that doesn't come as salary, but comes to you as the owner, and you don't have to pay the self-employment tax. So that'll save you, in most cases, 7.5% on that tax. So let's say you're a doctor and you pay yourself $150,000 a year, but you could hire another doctor to do your job for, say, $80,000, $75,000. Then you pay yourself $75,000 in salary, and you can take the other $75,000 as distributions just because you're the owner, because you could replace yourself. So that might save you an extra $5,000 in taxes that year, right? 7.5% of 75,000. So that's a really simple one we see for a lot of people. Another really easy one is if you own your own home. There's something called the Augusta rule. Once again, talk to your CPA about this. But if you're a business owner, you can use this with your business. If you're not a business owner, you can still do this. It's just a little different. But essentially, there's a rule that says you can rent out your primary home for up to 14 days a year. And that rent that you get for those 14 days can come into you personally tax-free. So what this looks like for a business owner is if you ever use your home for retreats or to train your team or have clients over, any of that stuff, for those days, your business can rent your home as an event center or as a space. Your business can pay you personally, and that money will be income tax free. Right now, you want to have a lease agreement, you want to document it. But let's say you were going to use your living room and kitchen in that area, and that's going to be 1,000 square feet. You can look at local hotels and say, how much would it cost me to rent 1,000 square foot ballroom or 1,000 square foot space? You can pay yourself that much because that's the going market rate. And now that money comes in tax free, right? So those are two really big ones. Another one is if you own a commercial building. People who own, like a lot of doctors own the building that their clinic's in, right? Or a lot of manufacturers own their buildings. You can do something called cost segregation. And so cost segregation is taking your building and you have an engineer come in and they will reclassify a lot of that building. Instead of as real estate, it will be classified as equipment. And so you can depreciate the building much more rapidly because a lot of equipment you can depreciate 7, 10, 15 years instead of 39.5 years. So you get tax savings today rather than sometime way down the road. So you get to keep a lot more money. You don't get more depreciation overall, but dollars today are a whole lot better than 30 or 40 years from now, right? You can use them to build your business and grow them and all the other things. So if you have a building that's worth more than, I would say, $250,000 and you've had it less than 10 years, it's probably worth looking at that because there's still a lot of depreciation and the building's worth enough that it's probably worth getting all that reclassified. Once again, that's on a case-by-case basis, but if you've got a relatively new building that's worth a lot, you can get a ton of tax breaks for the next 10 to 15 years that'll make a huge difference for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's 3 easy ones.
Yeah, those are the. So also tell us about why is that certain owners are doing, uh, businesses and they show losses, but the IRS rule is you can't show more than 3 years of losses, otherwise be classified as habitual losers or whatever. And then they won't give. But I have seen other extremes on. Is it for one business or any business?
Well, I think what they're trying to do is make sure that people don't just start a business just to lose money for tax advantages. They want a business. Once again, their goal is for you to create jobs and for you to innovate and add to the economy, right? They don't want somebody who's constantly losing in the economy. Otherwise, anybody who likes sailboats can start a sailboat business and just pay for their boat and lose money and say, oh, we just never rented it out, and get all these tax write-offs for the cost of the sailboat. So it's not a hard, fast rule, but they're trying to keep people from taking advantage of the system that way. That's really what's going on there. And if you've been out of business for more than 3 years and haven't turned $1 worth of profit, there probably needs to be a pretty good reason. So it's just a little bit of a red flag to them that if somebody's habitually losing money, like, is this a real business or is it not? And if it's not, then you shouldn't be getting the tax advantages in their eyes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I mean, I agree. There are, the problem is, there are people who abuse the system. Not
Sure.
everybody is on that side, but you're right. There are people who I know a lot, and I know they intentionally do that.
Sure.
So that is sad. That's sad. So also for financial strength or health, what is the most common mistake most people would make?
Honestly, I think the biggest mistake people make is they don't save money. Everybody wants to be an investor, but nobody wants to save. The problem is if you never save money, you never have any money to invest, right? So they think, oh, once I make some more money and I can get $25 or $50 or $100,000 together, then I'll go and invest. But usually your typical person doesn't have $25 or $50 or $100,000 laying around. So the way that you build that up is you have to systematize your savings. It's the first step. It's kind of like learning how to crawl before you learn how to walk.
Yeah.
And so for the average person, if you just take 10 to 20% of the money that you make, if you get paid every 2 weeks or every month or every week, and just put that into a savings account, or you can even set up an automatic sweep, that'll get you in the habit of saving. Like I said, once our clients have an emergency fund built up, we actually like for them to save inside of these specialty life insurance policies. But that's kind of what a 401k does. That's what an IRA does, right? It automates that savings. I don't love those vehicles because I think separating business owners from their money isn't great for business owners, but it's better than nothing. Without those, most people don't save at all. So I think if you can automate savings, that's the biggest mistake I see is business owners put all their money back into the business. And then eventually, if something goes wrong with it, like right now with COVID, right? If somebody was reinvesting in their restaurant business, all their money went back in, and then COVID happens, they have no cash, they lose their business and they lose everything. And so I think by systematically saving, you're building for the long haul. You're building wealth systematically long term. So every year, every month, you get wealthier. And if you do that, you end up way further ahead. And the people who don't do that and spend every penny that they make, they never get anywhere. They're just on a treadmill instead of like moving forward in life.
And that is true. That and I've seen that many times people come to me too, and they say, we want to invest and put all their money on whatever, but if that investment goes south, they're done for life. They have zero saving, zero. So winning lottery is like 1 in a million chance. So it's like 1 in a million chance you will be rich. So that's sad, but it's true. That's what we all believe, and it's better to buy one lotto ticket than.
Yeah, I think people need to realize building wealth is a process. It's not a one-time event. You don't just pick the one stock or get the one client or whatever. It's something you do incrementally over time. You win and you win and you win, just little wins every single time, right? It's like instead of trying to cross a mile in one jump, you just take a step every day, take a step every day, and that's how you cross the mile. So the same thing with wealth is systematize the savings, systematize the growth, systematize the tax advantages, and over time, all those things really add up, and that's how people get wealthy. Very rarely is it just like I bought this one stock and it went through the roof. Like, it just doesn't really happen.
No, that's true. We are at the end of the broadcast. Give us your final thoughts and your contacts so people can watch you.
Yeah. If you're someone who's out there and you're paying more than maybe $10,000 a year in taxes, there's probably some tax efficiency you're missing. If you're someone who could qualify for research and development credits, we'd love to help you get a free estimate on what's on the table. So if you're in the medical world, if you're a construction, software, or manufacturing, any of those companies is a home run. And if you would like to build a system that grows your money every single year, we can show you how to do all of that. You can just find me at biglifefinancial.com. And there's a button there where you can click it and just set up a free consultation. We also have a free book that talks about the life insurance system. And, love to see what we can do to help you out, because everybody's in a different situation. So we give customized advice and really help people to create action plans.
Great. Thank you for coming to our show. And financial health is so important, like other health, and it's part of lifestyle. So give us feedback, and it was a pleasure having you, sir. Take care and good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। मेरे लाइफस्टाइल टीवी यूएसए और पाकिस्तान में देखने वालों को बहुत बहुत सलाम। मेरी आज इस नशिस्त का मौजूए सुखन है मौजूदा हुकूमत और कसीदा सरा। 2 जनवरी 1492 गरनाता के बाहर पहाड़ियों पे खड़ा अबू अब्दुल्ला मोहम्मद सानी अशर अल-हमरा के महल्लात को आखिरी दफ़ा देख रहा है। वो शाह फर्डिनेंड और मलका इजाबेल को शहर की चाबियां दे चुका है। वो एक अरसा अपने बाप और चचा के खिलाफ इसी फर्डिनेंड को मजबूत करता रहा है। खुशामदियों और कसीदा सराओं में गिरा वो कभी सोच ही नहीं सका कि वो अपनी हुकूमत और गरनाता को कमज़ोर करता हुआ घुटनों के बल ले आया है। फर्डिनेंड की दोस्ती के किस्से मदाह सराहों से सुनते उसे कब इदराक था कि वो इसी फर्डिनेंड से एक दिन गरनाता से बेदखली का खत मौसूल करेगा। इन्हीं ख्यालात में डूबा वो फूट फूट के रो दिया है। साथ खड़ी माँ उसे वो अल्फाज कह रही है जो आज भी तारीख का हिस्सा है। उसके लिए औरतों की तरह क्यों रोते हो जिसका तुम मर्द बन के दफा न कर सके। उम्र बरसाते। ये सच है कि सिर्फ हकीकत जिंदा रहती है और खुशामदियों के मिले खिताबात सब दम तोड़ जाते हैं। मैं जब भी इस तारीख पे नज़र दौड़ाता हूँ तो अक्सर सोचता हूँ कि मदाह सराई के जुर्मट इंसान से आंखें और दिमाग से दुरुस्त सिमत के तयन की कुव्वत ही छीन लेते हैं। अगर दौरे हाजिर में देखूं तो मुझे मुहतरम नवाज शरीफ के कहे वो अल्फाज नहीं भूलते जब वो कहते हैं कि कदम बढ़ाओ नवाज शरीफ, हम तुम्हारे साथ हैं। लेकिन जब कदम बढ़ाया तो पीछे कोई न था। यही सच है। मौजूदा वजीर आजम खान साहब की बात करूं तो हर एक चीज का जिम्मेदार उन्हें 2 साल पहले दिया गया पाकिस्तान ही याद आता है। काश कसीदा सराओं के चुंगल में फंसे वो भी सोचें कि आपने चंद माह का वादा किया था, लेकिन वो खुशामदी आपको इस सब का तो खूब याद करवाए हुए हैं, लेकिन अपने 200 अरब रुपए से सरफे नजर करने पे मजबूर कर रहे हैं। और कुछ आपको भी यही माने है कि चीनी और आटा माफिया के खिलाफ कदम उठाया तो आपकी सरफराजी में जमीन और आसमान मिला देने वाला साथ छोड़ जाएगा। ऐसा ही एक दोस्त आप चकलाला एयरबेस से कब का आप खुद अपनी हुकूमत में जहाज से भेज चुके हैं। अगर आज टमाटर 200 रुपए किलो, चीनी 100 रुपए से ऊपर और आटे का 20 किलो का थैला 1500 रुपए तक जा पहुंचा है तो क्या इसमें आपकी नालायकी और आपके गिर्द फौजे जफर का कोई किरदार नहीं है? कभी ये भी सोचिए कि किसने आपकी आंखों पे तारीफों का वो चश्मा चढ़ाया हुआ है कि आप देख ही नहीं सकते। मुझे अपने गोरे साहब का एक फिक्रा कभी नहीं भूलता कि जब मैंने किसी कमी बेशी का इल्जाम किसी और को देना चाहा तो उन्होंने कहा कि जब इंचार्ज खुद हो तो इल्जाम भी खुद लेना सीखो। अपनी सरबराही में हुए गलत काम से ये कह के आप पहलू तही नहीं कर सकते कि आप मौजूद नहीं थे। ये एक बुरी गवर्नेंस की निशानी है। माशाल्लाह आपने अपने पैरोकारों का मेयार भी कुछ यूं ऊंची सतह पे मुकर्रर किया है कि ना अब उन मकासद का हसूल आपके बस में है और ना ही ख्वाबों की ताबीरें। आपके इस मेयार ने कौम को जरूर कई हिस्सों में तकसीम कर दिया है। आज आपके मदह सरा यूथिया और बाकी कोई पटवारी या जाला है जिनका काम कीचड़ उछालने से ज्यादा और कुछ नहीं। आपके यूथियास का ख्याल है कि वो पढ़े लिखे ज्यादा हैं, लेकिन मैं तो ये कहता हूँ कि अगर तालीम कसीदा सराई ही सिखाती है तो फिर दुरुस्त है, लेकिन अगर इल्म दानत सच कहने की जुर्रत पैदा करती है तो बशमूल मेरे आपका एक भी हमायती इस पर पूरा नहीं उतरता। मैं भी अगर जाने वालों को बुरा कहता हूँ तो इसलिए नहीं कि आप बहुत अच्छे और एक अजीम कायद हैं, बल्कि वो इसलिए है उन तारीकियों से डर लगता है कि जिनकी तरफ वापसी एक अंधेरे के सफर का आगाज होगा जहाँ पे ये सफर पहले रुका था। वरना आपने बाकी हाकिमों की तरह तस्बीह हाथ में पकड़े उसके हर दाने के साथ एक जुल्म का विरद शुरू किया हुआ है। वो करप्शन के वाकयात से पर्दापोशी हो या हुकूमत की तवालत में किए गए समझौते, क्योंकि आप तो मुल्क सीधा करने के वादे के साथ आए थे, लेकिन अब हुक्मरानी की मुद्दत को बका बख्शते समझौते पे समझौता करते गए। माशाल्लाह क्या बयां हो आपकी गवर्नेंस का कि जिस चीज का आप नोटिस ले लेते हैं वही चीज आम इंसान की पहुंच से बाहर हो जाती है। बात पेट्रोल, बिजली, गैस, आटे या उस रोटी की करूं जो सबकी जरूरत है। सुना है आजकल आपने महंगाई का नोटिस ले लिया है और जब से आपने नोटिस लिया है एक माँ 5 बच्चों समेत महंगाई की मारी दरिया में छलांग लगा चुकी है। आपके दौरे हुकूमत की बात हो तो भूखे की आंखों से रोटी गायब, बीमार की दवाई गायब, सड़कों का अमन गायब, बच्चियों के साथ जना करके कत्ल करने वाला मुजरम गायब, मोटरवे केस का डाकू गायब, शराब लाइसेंस बेचने वाला हाकिम गायब, ठेले से सब्जी दाल गायब, 55 रुपए में हेलीकॉप्टर का सफर करवा देने वाला गायब, वजीर आजम हाउस की यूनिवर्सिटी गायब, गवर्नर हाउस की मुस्मारी गायब, बातों और वादों से अमल गायब और तो और तहरीक इंसाफ के मंशूर से इंसाफ गायब। दुश्नाम तराजी थी वो अब भी है, नहीं तो बुकला कन्वेंशन से की गई आपकी तकरीर आपके सामने है। इस सब को पेश नजर रखते हुए मुझे तो इस मुल्क के दानश्वरों और पढ़े लिखों से यही कहना है कि सच कहो, दुनिया में हक कायम रहता है और कसीदा सरा दम तोड़ देते हैं। अगर आज की तालीम आपको कसीदा सराई ही सिखाती है तो ये अदारे और निज़ाम तालीम का सिलेबस ममनू करार दे दें, क्योंकि ये जुबू हाली और जवाल का सफर है। ऊंचाई चढ़ते वक्त लगता है, लेकिन ऊंचाई से गिरते वक्त जमीन पे पहुंचते कोई वक्त नहीं लगता साहब। मुल्क के वजीर आजम साहिब से मेरी गुजारिश है कि वो महल्लाती कसीदा सराओं से बाहर निकलें, तस्बीह छोड़ें, क्योंकि फराइज की अदायगी के बाद असल इबादत आवाम की खिदमत है। तारीख शाहिद है कि क़याम के वक्त सजदों में गिर जाने वाला कभी दुरुस्त फैसले और रहनुमाई नहीं कर सकता। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Mobi. I'm Dr. Mobi, and today we are honored to have an excellent guest, Mickey Burns. Let's welcome Mickey. How are you doing, sir?
Dr. Mobi, a pleasure being on your show, and welcome to New York City. Actually, I'm in my studio, which is about a mile from the Staten Island ferry that goes into Lower Manhattan.
Okay, yes, New York is always dear to me. It's my favorite places of all. And, the place, and your show, I was checking that, is great. I think you have interviewed so many famous and high and people. So tell us about your favorite personalities over the year.
Well, we've done 500 episodes.
Wow.
We hit 500 episodes, and that's a half-hour program profile on each celebrity. In January, we hit that. But I've had so many great guests. In my book, I did come out with a top 10. My book is called From the Projects to Profiles, a memoir. And, I would say of the 10, I would say Dr. Maya Angelou rates up there at the top. Misty Copeland, the ballet dancer, rates up at the top. George Foreman, the boxer. Joe Montana, the 4-time Super Bowl champ. Christopher Plummer, the actor who won an Academy Award at 88. So the list goes on and on. I have so many fond memories of so many iconic celebrities that I'm very blessed. I've been very blessed to be able to do this.
Oh, 500 episodes. Oh my God, that's a lot of episodes. And
yeah, it took almost 20 years to accomplish that.
Oh yeah, and they are, that's a lot of work, sir. Congratulations on that big milestone. And I'm sure if you look back and say, "Wow, how did I cover all that?" It's amazing journey, right?
Yeah, it is. And as I said, I many of them had books, and I've read most of them, and a lot of them had TV series and new movies. So it's been quite a journey, and it's been an honor to take it.
Okay, great, sir. So tell us about how did you enter the media or into these profiles or interviews? How did you enter?
Dr. Mobi, that's a great question. I was doing another show for Time Warner, and it was called Special Edition. And one of the things that we did in that news magazine was a celebrity profile of about 4 minutes. So we would go in, let's say, for instance, Tony Orlando was working on Broadway. We would go in, and after the show, we'd interview him, and we then edit that interview down to a 4-minute profile. And I used to go back to the studio all the time and say, I just talked to Tony Orlando for a half hour, and what a great interview it was. It's a shame that, most of it, they'll never make it to air. I said, you should consider doing a celebrity profile because the celebrities really want to talk about more than just their current projects. They like to talk about where they came from, the keys to their success, and a little history about their lives. So that was the seed. So we started doing profiles back in like 2000, I think it was. And right away, it was a hit. Celebrities love being on the show. And we have a great demographic here in New York City.
Yeah.
Like our current show reaches 20 million potential viewers every time it airs.
Wow.
So you have a big fan base, and the celebrities bought in right away to the show. And right from the start, it was a success.
Oh, okay. Wow. That must be.
That's how we started it, because we were doing another show and we realized that there weren't a lot of shows that showcase these celebrities with in-depth interviews.
So tell us also about how COVID has changed, or has not changed what you do, right?
Well, that's a great question as well. COVID has slowed us down. For the past 20 years, we were the media capital of the world here in New York. So any celebrity with a new book, a new CD, a new TV series, a new movie, they would all come through the Big Apple to promote it, whatever their new project was.
Mm.
Since the pandemic hit, no one is coming into New York.
Mm.
So